Are you saying that I can't focus to make a Gamers Arcadia TV episode because of Dragon Quest IX? Yes. Yes, that would be correct. Because of this game, I have been able to focus on a review. Till now. But before we jump into that, there's not much news for today, or this week, really, in general. So, if you have a DS, and you like RPGs, you should pick up Dragon Quest IX. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, with that said, I'm going to go back to playing Dragon Quest, fade to black, and you're going to see a review of a Wii game, not of Dragon Quest IX. So, have fun!
After plenty of delays, we've got Sin in Punishment, Star Successor. Imagine that. Hey guys, and welcome to the crazy, ridiculous world of Sin and Punishment, where nothing has to make sense, it just happens. Okay, it's like one of those movies you'll watch, and you have no idea what's going on beforehand, before the movie started. They don't really fill you in on what's happened, and you just kind of go along for the ride. You're not sharing the same experience as the main character, you're just kind of like watching. And but that's okay, because that fits exactly what this game is. And that's a ridiculous fantasy shooter game. You know, I guess you can call it a rail shooter if you want, but it's not really like that. You're bound by a path that's constantly moving, except for, like, obviously certain segments. But really, you know, this game is like an arcade game all the way through. Now, before I get on to all the arcade antics that this game is about, I wanted to touch upon the story, but for now all I can tell you is that this game takes place after the first one. I'm not really sure how, because as I played through this game, the story confused me. Yeah, but, you know, just a quick refresher, the first game never came out to America when it was released on the N64, but for the Virtual Console, for some reason or another, they decided to release it, because it was translated, and apparently they warranted it that it was going to get a sequel. So it's cool, it was a surprise, I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed this game. And you were going to hear why. Now, as far as the game progresses, okay, it is strictly an arcade game. Alright? Besides the story that you follow in place, your objective in the game is to get from point A to point B, killing anything that you can. As you kill stuff, your score multiplier goes up. And by the end of the day, you can beat the game, yes, but what's really challenging and what keeps you coming back to playing the stages is trying to get a high score. Because one of the neat things that this game has is even though there's no online multiplayer component, you can upload your high scores to an online leaderboard and check out how well you handle against other people. And it is pretty extensive on how you can look through your stuff. I mean, you can customize whether your scores were two-player based, depending on their difficulty, easy, normal, or hard, etc., etc. It's interesting where this game fits in, because it really can be played by everybody, and enjoyed by everybody, I would think. You know, it's challenging enough to where you hardcore people will continue at it, you want to play the difficulties and achieve your high score. But for people who just want to get through the game, there are infinite continues. You know, the problem is that when you continue, it resets your score for that stage back to zip. So, obviously, you're not going to gain out of it if you die on the final boss and beat him. I mean, on the boss of the stage and beat him, because then you're just going to get a really low score and it won't mean anything. So, if you're the type of person who loves getting like a really high score and having their name boasted, this is definitely a fun game for you if you're into that type of game. The gameplay mechanics are simple enough. There are 4 different control schemes you can use. It actually has access to the Wii Zapper, but you can use GameCube controller and Wii Remote and Nunchuck, Wii Remote by itself for whatever reason, and a class controller obviously. My personal preference is the Wii Remote and Nunchuck because it allows you to use the pointer, and I think it makes the game a lot more fun. There's 2 selectable characters you can choose from, Issa and Kachi. I prefer Issa, obviously, because Kachi has some weird auto lock-on mode, and she has a spread shot, which I don't understand at all. It kind of actually bothered me. Whereas his shot is a charge shot, as you can see from this video. And so I had more fun just overall playing as him. And I don't think the story actually changes depending on who you're picking. It still follows the same route. You just the character you're seeing changes. So if someone can prove me wrong in that regard, go right ahead. But yeah, but this game's intense though. The stages alone in the beginning, they're kind of a little bit underwhelming because you're like, this is kind of easy, even on normal difficulty, which is what I was doing it on. And then you start playing through the later stages, and it gets nuts. Like seriously, like I wouldn't have been able to have done some of the later stages if I wasn't playing in the two-player mode. I don't think. I mean, sure, there's continues, and I would have eventually gotten it, but still, that extra reticle definitely helps. Now, the graphics aren't anything that are gonna like obviously amaze you. You know, it's not like Mario Galaxy standards or anything. But, you know, the art design is pretty interesting, and some of the stages you go to are pretty cool. Like, obviously there's the worn down city stage, but they got the cool underwater stage. The forest has a really neat effect where it's all dark, and only where your reticle is facing is where you actually see light. And the sand dune stage where you're running along that stage is pretty cool. The music for this game isn't bad, and while the script is very hokey, the voice work isn't too bad either. I mean, you'll get some goofy voices in here in between the stages, but the main characters are voiced alright enough. However, if you can't stand the English voices, there is the option to opt for Japanese voiceovers, so for all you hardcore people. But yeah, so before I wrap this up though, I gotta say the bosses in this game are ridiculous. Like, some are out there, I don't have footage to like all of them obviously, but some of the bosses are just crazy, and they're pretty tough, you know. But I mean, that's honestly what I can really say about this game, you know. It's like a rail shooter arcade game that you'd find and play to try to get a high score. You know, it's not a long game. I gotta let you know. Okay, if you sit down, and if you have a lot of time, you're probably gonna beat it in a sitting or two. You know, so if you're not the type of person who likes getting a high score, then this might not be a game that you want to pick up. Maybe a rent, I would suggest, but maybe not something you want to own. You know, but if you find yourself, you know, if you're one of the types that loves, like, you know, continuously trying to beat to best your old personal record or getting a high score, or if you love online leaderboards and you like, you know, if you think you got what it takes to prove that, you know, you can put your name up there really high, then by all means, Sin and Punishment's for you. You know, I mean, it was a long shot that they even considered a sequel to this game, because the fact that the first one even got put on the English Virtual Console was a stretch. So if you're considering it, interested, I'd say give it a rent. But, yeah, so I'm going to wrap up my review by giving Sin and Punishment, Star Successor, a B+. For what it is, which is an arcade shooter, it's a very well game for its genre. You know, there are quite a few, you know, genre rail shooter games on the Wii, and I think this is a good one. So, check it out. Unless you want one of Kachi's kicks. Kachi!
How was the review? Might get any worse, any better? I'd like to know. Anyways, discussion time. Not so much games related today, this week, but just letting you guys know about Gamers Arcadia, or like, you know, our website. Okay, recently, I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen by now, but we've gotten more contributors, and we've joined up with our old pal Joseph V. Stalin, who's an awesome Let's Player, a good buddy from our old community we used to be a part of, and he plays a lot of PC games. He's going to be doing PC content for our site, which is cool. We're really glad to be working with him again. And our boards, you know, if you watch this video and you're not a member of our boards, you should join up. You know, it's growing. More people are registering every day, and we'd like you to come in and chat and talk to fellow gamers, you know? So, think on that. You know, there's a link in the description, so check it out. But yeah, another thing too, if you have any suggestions or feedback for this show, maybe I can add something, or there's something you guys would like to see, then I'd do my best to give it a shot. Anyways, till then, let's hope my headache goes away, because it's killing me, and I'll see you next time. Peace, guys.